Okay, so you've been toying around the idea of moving to a Central American country. You've decided on Panama. That's great. This is the show for you. Hi, and welcome to the first episode of Expats and Entrepreneurs Panama Edition. I'm going to be your host, Aaron Smith, but you can call me Panama Ace. I know, you're wondering, why the Panama Ace? The truth is, if I give you a little bit of my backstory, I actually grew up in Panama. I was a Zonian, as they refer to us. My dad was an air traffic controller at Howard Air Force Base, and I have very fond memories of living in the Canal Zone in areas like Ancon, Arahan, and just being a part of the community. It was a short time, only several years, but it had a profound impact on my life and my pursuit of travel. So through the next few episodes, we're going to be talking to other expats and learning more about how they came to find themselves in Panama, and more importantly, what we do for money. So stick around. Some of the people I'm going to be introducing you to during this series of YouTube videos will be real estate. Obviously, that's a big opportunity in Panama. There are tour operators, there's relocation experts, but there's also people who run sports bars, own sports bars, I should say, own bakeries, and all different kinds of businesses that you can't even think about. So I would definitely recommend you stay tuned, subscribe, hit that button, get notified when new episodes are available, and just really use this as an opportunity to think about what you might want to do with your life as you transition to living. So what's my current business? Well, my current business is doing marketing strategy for product software companies. I set up a LLC with my wife about 6 months before we moved to Panama. The goal was to always have an opportunity to create income while we were in Panama. I would highly encourage anyone thinking about making this move to save as much money as you can. And by savings, I mean cash savings, equities, real estate, whatever it means to you, to make sure that you've got a solid foundation for the next years or the rest of your life. What did I do to prepare me for this business? Well, I've been in tech for, 20 years. When my wife and I made the decision that we were going to leave the United States, I approached my management and let them know of my intentions to retire. I had a very frank conversation with the leader of HR, who said that we had an option to bring me back as a contractor or a consultant. Right about this time, the whole notion of a fractional was starting to make progress in the market. So a fractional is someone who is a leader in their specific field, maybe a fractional chief revenue officer, sales, chief financial officer, chief operating officer. In my case, I'm in marketing, and so I build myself as a chief product officer or a chief product marketing officer. And I work with companies on a fraction of my time. So if you think about your work week being 40 hours, I'm made to devote 5 to 10 hours a week to one client, and then the rest of my time to another client. And that's where you get the idea of a fractional. It works for their costs, and it gives me the freedom to do the things I want to do and not be beholden to one company. I think it's a great idea. I think if you are in your job and you are killing it and you have some leverage with your employer, it absolutely makes sense to approach them, especially if you already know you're going to make the move. And approach them and let them know that you'd be willing to come back as a fractional. So for us, that meant starting a business, and it's an LLC, filing as an S Corp. I highly suggest that you seek out your own lawyer and tax professionals. What I'm giving you is just how I did it. It's not the way everyone does it. So let me be clear about that. Where was I raised? I'm born in Sacramento, California. I lived in Virginia, I lived in Indiana, I lived in Mississippi, I've lived in a whole lot of places. Texas is where I called home for the last 20 years. I raised my sons there, and it was a great place in Austin, Texas. As a child, my dad was in the military, and he brought us to Panama. while my wife and I were thinking about places to retire, we were really initially thinking about Spain. That was a place that we really enjoyed. But when we started thinking about our responsibilities to our parents, to our children who are still going to be in the United States, and trying to maintain a time zone synergy, what we decided to do was look at Central America. And once we came to visit, it became clear that this was the place for us. Who was the most influential in terms of moving abroad? My wife and I traveled a lot through our corporate jobs, and she traveled a lot prior. I've been to Amsterdam, Portugal, Germany, Australia, Singapore, a lot of different places. Israel, been to Tel Aviv a couple of times. But Panama seemed to be the place that gave us the most balance. It wasn't necessarily the greatest place in terms of, what they refer to as a first world or a third world country. But it was the place that gave us the most opportunities to have a really exciting life as we enter into our mature years. What does success look like for us? Ugh. Well, my wife would say success means not having to go back to work. And I think that for a lot of us, that's what it really means. For me, it's a little bit different. My goal is to make sure that I have enough cash flow coming in and being able to have a much more balanced lifestyle, balanced more towards the fun and the family and those things, those pursuits, and working as I see fit to do. So what are some of the challenges on the horizon? Well, clearly, politics anywhere in the world can change your opportunities quickly. In the United States, there's obviously the upcoming presidential elections. There's what's going on with the Republican and Democrats not working at all together. In Panama, there's also some elections, and it's going to determine a lot about how they build their economy going forward. You may have heard that they recently shut down a mining operation. If you haven't, go check that out. So now the country has to really decide what it's going to do for revenue as climate change impacts the water resources for the ships coming through the canal. No one has a crystal ball, but I do like some of the opportunities that I see if they pursue the ecotourism route. I think that's going to be really exciting, and I think that holds a lot of opportunity because a lot of people don't know Panama as an ecotourism destination. That's more of a Costa Rica thing. So I'm really excited about that, and I think there's some big opportunities here. I forgot to mention, turn your side hustles into something real. One of the things you might be thinking about is, can I take one of my existing side hustles or something I'm interested in doing and make that a business? I think it's a great idea. As a matter of fact, I wrote this book during our transition from the United States to Panama. It was initially just my notes that I was sharing with a couple of friends, and I decided, you know what? Let's see what the self-publishing life is really about. The last page of it actually has a link for booking time with me where I basically explain to you all the nuts and bolts of moving your life from the United States to Panama. I am not a relocation tour. There are some wonderful people doing relocation tours. Hopefully some of them will be on this show and tell you about their business and how they found themselves in that business. That's not my goal. I'm here really to show you your opportunities, helping you to find your next thing that you want to do with your life. When did we decide to leave the country? Well, I think we had always known that we would never be able to live our best authentic life in the United States. It is what it is. Oh, how many countries have I lived in? Aside from Panama in the United States, that's it. I've spent weeks at a time in other countries, but I would still consider those visits. So only 2. What makes my product and service better than anyone else out there? Well, first of all, there's not a lot of people doing product marketing. If you go do your homework on this, it's kind of a field that you just fall into if you're in tech. Product management, product marketing, things of that nature. There are not really a lot of people who are interested in software tech and then be able to give the differentiation of one cybersecurity company from another cybersecurity company. Not a lot of people are that interested in it. But it's a very lucrative field if you want to talk with one of your friends or colleagues about doing that. Okay, I think that's it.